So thanks for joining me, Val. I'm really, really happy to have you on tonight. It looks like our mamas are not able to join us tonight. So you and I will have a quick chat and maybe do like a little summary of what you were going to chat to them, talk to them about.
Sure.
And then, if they want to talk to you more about details, you can share some of, the ways that you work with them.
Sure.
So, yeah, maybe you could give us just a little bit of like an intro of who you are.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm Val. My brand is No Diet Dietitian because what we're trying to do is help people change their lives and change their behaviors around food. The statistics show that 96% of diets result in weight regain, and that's like the hard evidence that how does Weight Watchers make their money? Everyone loses weight and then they regain it because you stop counting your points and then you repurchase. It's the rebuy-in. So diets work temporarily, but we're in this for the long haul. We want to really lose the weight, keep it off, and feel good forever. So what I really want to talk about with your mamas, who I know are working hard, I know that they're lifting heavy, is how the benefits of lifting really plays a role in our metabolism. Metabolism is this big buzzword that we talk about. And a lot of people don't really know what metabolism means. We think about it as like calories in, calories out. But we know that metabolism is comprised of many different things. It's comprised of, like, if we break it down, it's your movement. So going to the gym, we're burning calories. That is definitely a part of our metabolism. It's thermogenesis when we eat food. Digesting food actually burns calories. And we also know that just like moving your hands, it's called NEAT, also burns calories. It's just your body's ability to keep its regulation, turning over cells, making your brain function, making your liver function. But what we're doing specifically when we're training and lifting heavy, because I know you lift heavy, is we're building muscle mass. And the more we build muscle, every pound of muscle we put on our bodies boosts our metabolism about 50 calories a day. So if we're losing fat, building muscle mass, we're literally building this fuel efficient machine that keeps us going forever, which is the coolest thing, because once we have a personal a PR personal record, what is it, record?
Yeah, personal record, yeah.
Yeah. Every time we hit a PR, we're actually building new muscle cells. And that's where we're building like muscle memory, that if you don't work out for 2 weeks, 5 weeks, those muscle cells will always be there. You're causing like permanent changes in your structure and keeping you permanently stronger. So what I always like to talk about is how do we fuel to build our muscle mass to boost our metabolism? Because if we're boosting our metabolism, we know that makes it easier to live in a leaner body, if that's what your goals are. Everyone wants a fast metabolism, and what they're doing with you is literally building their metabolism. And I always think that exercising is the hard part. What I do with my clients, which is fine tuning their nutrition, which we know that we're either fueling a workout or we're not fueling a workout. We know that we're overeating or undereating, and that can set us back from our goals. But what I do is much easier than what you do. Going to the gym, working out, if we know how to eat, how to fuel ourselves in ways that we love our food, I think that they're already doing the hard work, and now we're going to see the tweaking and the fine tuning.
Yeah.
So, what I see most women afraid of, and I wonder if these are your mamas also, is that they're afraid of bulking. Have you heard that before?
I hear that a lot. I hear that a lot when people contact me, like for the first time. And here I am burning, my metabolism's working. I was just listening to what you said. Never mind. I get really easily. But when you're from Eastern Europe, you talk with your hands quite a bit. I get that a lot, and especially when people first contact me. Usually, if they know that I'm working with kettlebells, or if they see that I'm lifting a barbell, the first thing is, yes, I want to train with you, but I don't know if I really want to do that, or I don't know if I can do that. And really, behind that is usually the thought of, well, even if I could do that, I really don't want to be big. I don't want to become big. I don't want to have big muscles. So it really, I get that a lot. Bulkiness, I get a lot. And from a trainer's perspective, it is, my answer is always, even if you worked out 5 to 6 days a week for an hour to 2 hours, there is no way you could get bulky, because it takes quite a bit of effort to become big
Yeah.
and bulky.
Yeah. And I always think it's about your nutrition as well. So like we can fuel to specifically cater someone's needs. So that like, I wanted to get into the details and specifics, and I'll talk a little specifics about like what a pre-workout should look like, or what it ideally would look like to make your workout feel so much better. And some of the challenges that people have with overeating post-workout. A lot of people just had a workout, you burned 300 calories, let's say, but you're starving. That it's so easy to eat so much more than that because we're so hungry after a workout. Have you ever experienced that?
Oh, yes, definitely. For me, it's common because I am someone who has a really fast metabolism, but yes, post-workout hunger is no joke.
I think that you're building your metabolism. Yes, you might be blessed with a fast metabolism. I am not. I come from a family of obesogenic genes. Like my grandparents, everyone's obese. So I work really hard to stay healthy. That's the truth. When I was younger, I was diagnosed with pre-diabetes and PCOS. So I understand the struggle. And I'm obsessed with metabolism and hormones is another thing that plays a huge role in metabolism.
Yes, our next guest is actually going to be an acupuncturist talking about hormonal balance with acupuncture. So yes, absolutely.
And I also think with food, we know that like cortisol is a hormone that plays a huge role with insulin resistance. So sugar and when we eat, with the timing of our meals can play a huge role in just our hormonal balancing as well. And if we're in a starvation state, that can play with our hormones. If you're lactating, all these things play with hormones. So I'm a little bit obsessed with hormones as well. But when it comes to feeling like people are getting bulky, you have to be in a real caloric surplus. You have to be eating more to put on that muscle mass. And when people want to build more lean muscle mass, like I know that you can put on those strong muscles, but we can also play with how you're eating. The biggest challenge that I see is start really being hungry. So the best way to prevent being super hungry and possibly overeating after we work out is to go into our workout knowing that our body's going to use a lot of energy. So let's fuel it. Let's give it its energy. So if people are working out, the best thing to have before a workout is a source of carbohydrates. And I know, scary, carbs, they're demonized all across the board. But the reason we want carbohydrates is it's our primary source of fuel for our body. It is. It's what our brain likes to use primarily. If we don't have, in the absence of carbohydrates, it will go to ketone bodies. But when there is no athlete on the planet that's working out for athletic performance, that's not fueling with carbohydrates, because it's the quickest energy source. We want to be strong. We want to be fit. But where I also see it is we don't want to have a juice that has 5 different fruits. A lot of the juices that you can buy anywhere, it's like, it has a mango, it has strawberries, it has peaches, it's an apple. If you put all that fruit in a bowl, you would not eat it in one serving before a workout because you wouldn't feel good.
Yes.
You want to have a serving of carbohydrates, grab an apple, grab an orange, have a banana, and pair that with a little bit of protein, if you can. But having a fruit before a workout or having your breakfast before a workout can really help give your body what it needs to go into that workout and allow you to finish your workout without being starving. So if you're working out for how often? It's an hour, 45 minutes?
Our sessions are about an hour. And all the mamas get 3 workouts per week. And the Wednesday workout is kind of the highest effort. So the Wednesday workout, usually not the highest effort as far as lifting, but it's the highest effort as far as cardiovascular.
Okay.
So it's the shortest workout too. So it's I think it depends how many rounds they do because they have options. But let's say 30 to 45 minutes.
Okay. So if we're working out for an hour, what I like to think of is, let's say you had breakfast, you want to digest for an hour. That's a great time to work out. But then you might be, let's say you had breakfast at 7, you worked out at 8, or is the timing always the same? Is it always 8 p.m.?
No, so our workouts are at 4:30 p.m. On Mondays, and then 9 a.m. on Saturdays. Those are the live ones, but the workouts themselves, if they don't want to join the live, they can do the workouts on their own time. So they actually decide when they work out.
Okay. So let's say we're talking about the live workout, because 4:30 is a great time. It's right after work for a lot of people, or at the end of the day, but maybe we have lunch at like 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock, we're having dinner at 6 o'clock. So that's a workout that we don't need a post-workout. Your dinner should be post-workout. When we talk about that, is talking about what our body needs to be recovering. We want, when in a workout, what we do is we literally tear our muscles apart. Think of it like a house. If we're breaking things down, we need to have cement and we need to have glue. We need to have all the tools to rebuild it. That's what protein does to help rebuild our muscles. So if we're tearing them apart in our recovery, if you're feeling sore all the time, that's a good time to check in with your nutrition, because you might just not be recovering where you want to. So after a workout, we really want to prioritize getting enough protein. For most women, 20 to 30 grams of protein post-workout is optimal. But if you're working out at 4:30 and you're eating dinner with your kids, maybe it's early bird special at 5 o'clock, maybe it's a little bit later, you're covered.
Right.
But before that, that's when we want to have a pre-workout snack. So I would recommend having, if you love a smoothie, you can throw together a smoothie with like some berries, some almond milk, maybe a scoop of protein powder. If you love that, you can have a fruit with a piece of low-fat cheese. And the reason I say low-fat cheese is because if you have a lot of fat before a workout, and when I say fat, I mean nuts and seeds and avocado and cheese and the most amazing, delicious foods that we should be eating, sometimes they sit a little heavy in our stomach and they don't give us as much energy as if you have a little bit of protein with your carbohydrates.
Yes, and it's definitely something that I have had to work on to figure out. So it's not something that's easy. It doesn't come easy. And, you know, of course, this is my job, so I obviously need to work on that. But it took me a very long time to figure out that doing nuts, especially nuts, because I would grab like a granola bar that would be more nuts, and maybe it would be gluten-free, so maybe it wouldn't have grain in it, maybe it wouldn't be as high carb as it should be, and I would really not like it, I would feel like it wasn't sufficient. Like I would feel like my best workouts are when I've had like a real good carb right before. Like,
what's your go-to?
My go-to, so depending on what I'm doing too, like if I'm going to go run, if I'm going to go like for a longer run, then half a bagel or a quarter to a half a bagel, depending on like where I'm at in the day, and a tiny bit of peanut butter and maybe like a few slices of banana on top. And that's kind of what I would have. And what else?
I'm sure people looking at you would be like, oh my gosh, you can have a banana before you run. Like, but it's fueling your workout. It's making you feel good, and it allows you to run longer, faster, stronger.
Yes. And for those runs, that's what I would absolutely use. If I'm about to lift, for me, like I love lifting in the morning. I'm not a super early bird or anything like that, but I love having a nice bowl of oatmeal before my workouts. And those really satisfy me. I do have to have a little bit of fat and protein in there. I will even sometimes put in like egg white into my oatmeal just to have something else, because again, carbs, like just carbs for me, they like my system just like goes so fast through them. So I have to have something else in there to slow them down, to slow my body down from going through it. But those are my kind of go-tos for sure.
And I think that's the whole thing, that if we're working out for a normal amount of time, not overexerting ourselves, like working out just for activity basis and really enjoying it and to get strong, eating our meals as they are, and then waiting maybe 35, 45, ideally 45 to 60 minutes, and then working out.
Yes.
You don't need to do anything extra. It can be your perfect breakfast that's got protein, a little bit of fat, but like, let's say you're having an afternoon snack, like you said, maybe having half a bagel, maybe having my go-to, I love berries with Greek yogurt. To me, that makes me feel really good. It doesn't repeat on me. I know my body as well. And I love how much confidence you're like, this makes me feel good. For me, bananas before a workout, I know that works for a lot of people. I cannot eat a banana before a workout. It does not make me feel good.
I get that. I completely get that. And it's not the first person that I've heard this from, but I think it's the years of me prepping for like races and running that like the running community really loves their bananas. So
no, I'm not saying anything bad. I'm saying I love that you know exactly what works for your body. Like that's the kind of confidence that I want everybody.
This is also years of work. So this is why I brought you on, is because I feel like we all think that we should know everything the moment we start, adapting this lifestyle, and that we should know how to fuel and that we should know all of these things. But in reality, it's all you try something and it doesn't work, and then you go to the next thing, and maybe that works better. So testing, you're constantly changing. It's never going to stay the same either. Like that bagel with the peanut butter, it's not going to stay the same. I'll find something else that I'm obsessed with, and then I'll do that for a couple of years. Like, it just depends, I think. And I think you're right. I think it's just finding what works for you. We're not the same.
Yeah, I was just having an interesting conversation with one of my clients that, like on YouTube, like the what I eat in a days.
Yeah.
We're like all obsessed with like looking at what someone else ate.
Yes.
But like, if I eat exactly like you do, or if I eat exactly like Kendall Jenner does,
right.
what I eat in a day is, unfortunately, we're still not going to look exactly like them.
Yeah. Do you ever watch Abby's Kitchen?
No.
She's a registered.
Abby Sharp. Yeah, she actually.
Yes, Abby Sharp. Yes.
She knows who I am.
Okay, so
Canadian also.
yeah. She's just. I think she's hilarious. But
I love her. Yeah.
I love that she like breaks down like the all of the stuff that these people eat, and is always like, disclaimer, don't do this, don't copy this, because it really is so individual.
Yeah. And I think about like our own, like everyone that's a mom, like how when they have like autonomy, and people say like, what's your birth plan? Or like, what was your experience like postpartum? I do not believe that two women have the same postpartum experience. And I don't even believe if you have multiple kids that your experience is the same. No. And we're okay with having unique experiences to ourselves. But for some reason, when it comes to our nutrition, we feel like we need to sit into this like perfect mold. We all should be the same. It all should be keto. It all should be Weight Watchers. There's this perfect diet. And what I always like to tell people is that we need to find what makes you feel good right now. Because like you said, it might change with time. It should change with time. And that's what we try to do, is find out what works, not for anybody else, but specifically for you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Going back to protein and, fueling afterwards for recovery, what do you suggest? Like, what are the protein sources that you suggest? And let's say we're talking to folks who are, who eat everything, so omnivores, and maybe even go over some vegan and vegetarian options.
Sure. Yeah. So I think that if you're not starving, you're not going to overeat, and you having a meal post workout, that's typically the best if someone wants to lose fat while building muscle mass. I feel like adding in an extra meal sometimes feels like having a dinner or having a lunch. That's really, really works wonderfully. But what are some great protein sources? Typically the rule of thumb is about the size of the palm of your hand, or a full can of tuna. So that's the first thing. We all have our own palms of hands. I've measured mine. Mine's 5 ounces. And I know that actually feels really good for me.
How do you measure yours that it's found out 5 ounces?
You know how like you can do like volume, and I did a long time ago when we were in the dietetic.
I see. Okay. That's cool.
But you can kind of like, it's about the size. Can I see the palm of your hand? Your hands. Do you feel like if you had a burger that was the thickness and the size of your hand, that would fill you up, or no?
Yes. Oh yes.
It's maybe, like a good amount.
Maybe
so not your fingers, just the palm, but yeah. And if we're doing fish would be 3 fingers down. It's a good rule of thumb. 3 fingers to the bottom. Would that be
what we're doing?
You think that would be a nice piece of salmon for you though?
Yeah. Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, I love fish, so
it's my favorite.
So I definitely overeat on fish.
It's like the best thing for your brain, so don't worry about that. And it's super anti-inflammatory. So when I talk about proteins that have the most benefits, fish is amazing. Some really good quality eggs. We're lucky that we can have great eggs here. If you can buy omega-3 eggs, it actually makes a difference in terms of like anti-inflammatory if someone's dealing with chronic inflammation. Obviously chicken is a good go-to for a lot of people. If we're doing like omnivore, we know that beef and veal and rabbit and all the other animals are sources of protein. We typically want to stay towards like white meats, just because that's better for heart health. And it's just I always think about looking at the whole person, that you can have red meat ideally once or twice. They say maximum 12 ounces a week for optimal heart health. But then my favorite is, two favorite proteins for me. I love tofu, if you do it properly. So how I do it is I cube it. I squeeze out all the liquid. That is key. If you don't squeeze out the liquid, it's going to be weird texture, by extra firm. And I just put a little soy sauce and garlic powder and broil it in the oven
Yeah, same here. I do literally the same thing. I think you and I probably are the only people that love the actual flavor of tofu. I love tofu
I love tofu.
and people make fun of me because they're like, it tastes like sponge. And I'm like, yes, delicious sponge.
But you can get it really crispy too if you do it properly.
Oh my gosh, yes. I'm on the same page with you. I like it. And I sometimes like the tofu in a Asian style, like a more of a miso kind of flavor too. Love that.
Miso, ginger, it's the best. And I'll do the same way. And then I'll just, because no one has time, and I'll just I'll broil it, then turn the temperature down to 350, yes. Put whatever sauce, even if it's like a store-bought teriyaki sauce, whatever it is, on it. And then let it go in the oven for another, so broil it for 10 minutes and then put it in the oven at 350 for another 20 minutes.
Yes, definitely yes on tofu.
Greek yogurt is an awesome source of protein. Cottage cheese is a really lean source of protein as well. Cottage cheese, I think people underestimate as well, because it's easy, quick, and it's full of casein, which actually is slower digesting, so it can keep you a little fuller versus like if you're a hungry person. In terms of like vegan options, tofu is a great one. Edamame is also a wonderful snack if you wanted a post-workout snack. You can buy them in the shell, or you can buy them like in the pods or shelled already. Also, if you're trying to bump up your protein for a vegan diet, beans are a great option, lentils are, but I love adding nutritional yeast. It's full of B vitamins. It's like, I think it's like, you know how people talk about like superfoods? I actually think it's the most underrated superfood, and it's really, really great source of protein to add on to a meal if you wanted to.
I have a amazing recipe, and it's, if you make it, I make my own popcorn at home because no one's at time, so bad popcorn. But make your own popcorn, and on whatever the choice of like fat you want to use to make your popcorn to flavor it, and then dill, garlic powder, and nutritional yeast. It is the best way to eat your popcorn.
Sounds like sour cream and onion flavor almost.
It is. It kind of is like a little bit like that. It's got the zest.
Okay, girl,
and it's satisfying. It's a nice, healthy snack. It's such a good one for like evening time when you've got the munchies and you kind of just want something a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. So I also am a big fan of, if someone's vegan, turning to like alternative pastas, like the banza, the chickpea pastas, or the lentil pastas. I think those are a really great swap just to get a little bit more protein in there. So we talked about like all our animal proteins. Turkey burgers are a great one as well. Those freeze really well. Salmon burgers. Ideally trying to optimize like lean proteins, vegetarian proteins, fish-based proteins for like a more Mediterranean style way of eating, just because that's best for our heart, versus like red meats more frequently.
Right. And what do you suggest for mamas who are just really busy, and you know, if they go to the store, there's so many options, like where should they look in a store to find options that are quick protein options, but that they maybe not need to like form their burger patty or make this, make that, you know? Do you have any suggestions? Do you have anything that you love? What's your go-to at like the stores around here? Most of the mamas in the group are from around here, so they know the local stores.
So I think that I always have what I call a freezer dinner. I always have a backup plan that, like, in a pinch, you know, your kid's having a meltdown. I have a 5-month-old, so time is always of the essence. An easy meal that you can whip up in less than 15 minutes. And I basically rely on those. Costco has amazing salmon burgers that if you have an air fryer or an oven, throwing that in. And I love to make things feel a little bit more exciting. So I'll make like a healthy tartar sauce. I'll take fresh dill, Greek yogurt, a little bit of mustard, a lot of lemon. I like it really lemony, salt and pepper, and serve that with a salmon burger. And maybe just, I always have pre-washed vegetables in my fridge. So like the pre-washed spinach, or I love frozen vegetables for people who are in a pinch.
They're like, again, one of the underrated things. Like, what do I eat with my protein? Like, oh, I don't know what to do. I have all of those like mixed veggie bags in the freezer.
They're actually, they're picked and frozen on the same day. So they tend to have more antioxidants and nutrients than Vermont winter foods, because those are like shipped from God knows where. But another one I'll do is I really like the bird's eye specifically. I think they make a really good, you can buy that anywhere, Hannaford, Shaw's, anywhere. They have a really good stir fry mix. So it has like broccoli and bamboo shoots, very good one. So I'll put a little bit of sesame oil in the pan, garlic and ginger, and I'll throw that all in. And then I'll also have frozen edamame, those little pods, and I'll use that as a protein source. Serve that up with some rice or some sweet potato or a good quality noodle. And that's like a perfect dinner in literally 10 minutes.
Yeah, absolutely. I love quick dinners, and I think it's super helpful, especially if, let's say, it's 4:30 and you're jumping into the Zoom workout and you're finished and it's 5:30 and you've got half an hour to get something together. It's perfect because then you have your post-workout meal for recovery and you can feed your family and it's quick. So yes.
Absolutely. Another one that I like to think of, I always like to take the protein out. I buy protein and put it in my freezer. I like to take it out the night before. I might not figure out what I want, what flavors, if I want to go Mexican and do pulled chicken, or if I want to do more like grilled, pull it on the grill and but I have the protein thawed. And then I always have vegetables in my fridge so that like, it's kind of like mix and match. It's not like reinventing the wheel. Kind of like when you get dressed in the morning, you start with your undergarment, then you put a t-shirt on, you put pants on. Like I always think about it. I always have my protein in my fridge. I've always got my vegetables. So I'm always starting off with what are my vegetables? We want that to be at least half of our plate to get all the antioxidants and nutrients. At No Diet, we call it like 2 cups and 2 colors of vegetables at lunch and dinner, for a really well-rounded way. We've got our protein about the size of the palm of our hand, 2 eggs, a burger of some sort, a piece of chicken, a piece of fish. Your lentil pasta would be like about a cup of that if you're having that as a vegan option.
Yep.
You've got your little bit of healthy fat to make everything tasty, like you said, for your seasoning, your olive oil, your avocado, your nuts, your seeds. So we've got mostly veggies, a good amount of protein, and then about a serving of carbohydrates is about the size of your fist, between a third of a cup to a half a cup for most people, unless you're lifting or running a lot. And then probably you should definitely need a little bit more. And then I always think of that as an afterthought. Whatever carb works with your meal, but trying to prioritize your veggies, having those in your fridge, having ones that are, if you go to Trader Joe's, they have everything pre-cut up and so easy.
Yes. Yes, it is my go-to place for sure. If I know I'm going to have a busy week ahead, it is where I get some of those like easy shortcut foods. And it really is a place that saves us for sure.
Absolutely. Last night I made barbecue. I have an air fryer and I have all the appliances and I haven't used any of them. You don't need it. You can turn on the oven pretty hot and preheat it. But for when you don't even have time to preheat it, I took the Trader Joe's, they have these shredded Brussels sprouts, and I put it in there just for like, I think it was like 10 minutes with some seasoning, and they turn into like these crispy Brussels sprout chips. And I had that with just like pan-seared salmon and whatever we had leftover sweet potatoes in the fridge, and it was like a dinner.
Yep.
In 14 minutes.
Yep.
And that is what we're all about.
That is where I live. I live in like how can I get my family a meal on the table quickly, and how can I kind of hit all of those points? One of the things that I love that you mentioned is the pre-washed bought greens. And I feel like you don't have to wash them yourselves. There's so many options to buy them pre-packed, pre-washed, ready to go. I love buying big heads of lettuce. And then on the day that I buy it, as soon as I get home, I unpack my groceries and I wash the lettuce and pack it so that I can have it ready, post workouts, or if I'm, and I can have that as a part. But today I got a giant box of baby spinach because I don't have time, and I'm not going to have time in the next few days. So it's that and some salmon, which we picked up. So, and I love frozen fish. Like one of the things, yes, I absolutely love fresh fish, but it's hard to find. We're in Vermont. This isn't a place where you get lots of fresh seafood. So Costco seafood section and like Costco's wild salmon and a bunch of the other fish that they have frozen. It's amazing. Single serving, it's perfect. And like you said, take it out the night before and put it in the fridge.
The other one last step, and I'll let you go. If people are always like, well, if I buy that whole thing of spinach, it's going to go bad. I have 2 tips for you. The first thing is wilted spinach. If you just put it in a pan with like garlic, and you just wilt it down, if it's turning a little bit yucky, it's fine.
Yeah.
The other thing I like to do is if you have spinach and it's turning a little soft, take your spinach, put it in a Ziploc bag, or just leave it in the Tupperware you have and put it in the freezer. It goes amazing in smoothies. It makes it creamy. You know how people always add greens?
Yes.
It's an easy way to add greens to your smoothie. Your wilted spinach, when you throw it from the freezer into your smoothie, you will never know that it's not up to par for your salads, and you will never waste spinach again.
Yes, and it's one thing that I've learned lately to do, that I've definitely learned how to do, or just simply buy frozen spinach that's pre-cut and it's in your fridge, and you can just use it in all of your meals and add it to all of your meals, which we do a lot to like boost, you know, the meals that we're doing. And then the last thing I want to ask you before we go, and thank you so much for taking your time. I think this is just so valuable. And I would love to ask you all of this, what you just said. What's the difference for nursing moms? Because I do have a few moms who are still breastfeeding, and I would love to know what is the difference for them in this, and what should they just make sure that they're considering?
So for a nursing mom, the biggest thing is people can actually get their breast milk tested if they wanted to. When women get their breast milk tested, the number one thing that might be deficient to the baby is protein. So more than anybody else, you have to be prioritizing protein. Specifically, I'm a nursing mom. I know how crazy it is. First of all, your hunger is going to be huge. Listen to your hunger, honor your hunger. Your body needs, if you want to continue nursing without a dip in your supply, eating enough is one of the biggest things. But the second to that is drinking enough. Water by your side all the time will really help keep up with your supply. That a lot of people feel like they need to eat, but also drinking. But more, you want your baby to get enough protein for growing. You want them to get enough calories from your breast milk. You're producing at least 500 calories of breast milk. When I think about it, that your child has never eaten anything, or their bulk of their calories, and you see their growth and their development is all from what you're producing. That energy that you're consuming is so important.
Yeah.
So try to prioritize water, really try to prioritize protein, because you don't want that to be deficient in your breast milk also.
That's awesome. Thank you so much. This was really awesome.
It's fun to talk to you.
We'd definitely love to like chat with you more, and maybe have you back on and talk a little bit more about things. And if any of my moms wanted to get in touch with you or work with you, how can they find you?
Sure. They could email me. My email is valerie@nodietdietitian.com. Or on Instagram, you can DM me. It's nodietdietitian. But also just to note that a lot of people feel like it's a financial burden. For most people, nutrition sessions are covered 100% by their insurance. So we can work with you and give you a customized and personalized approach to nutrition, meeting your needs. That's what our goals are, just to help you. And it'll be fully covered by your insurance. So yeah, if you want that Instagram, email, or my phone number is 646-771-7517. Happy to chat.
And I'll put all of this in an email and send it all out to everybody, so that we have all this information and they can contact you if they want to work with you and do a little more of a deep dive in how they can optimize their diet for, lifestyle, whatever that may be. So
whatever their goals are. We always say we don't have an alternate agenda. Our goal is just to help you get healthier, achieve your goals in a way that's sustainable for you.
Exactly. Well, stay on for a second. I'm just going to stop my recording. Thank you all for listening. And hopefully next time we can all get together and chat a little bit more to Val, maybe about some other topics that you may be curious about.